What happens when a cocky billionaire from Lagos, known for breaking hearts, meets a mysterious village girl with secrets of her own? He thought he was in control, but she was always 10 steps ahead. In this tale of power, betrayal, and redemption, nothing is as it seems. Who really wins the game of love and ambition? Lagos shimmered under the evening lights, its skyline a testament to ambition and wealth. At the center of it all stood Timini Bakare, a name whispered with envy and admiration in every corner of high society. At 32, Timini wasn't just a billionaire, he was a phenomenon. His fleet of exotic cars, designer suits, and sprawling mansion overlooking the city skyline were symbols of his meteoric rise from modest beginnings. But beneath the charm and sophistication, Timini was infamous for another reason: his conquests. Women were pawns in his game, dazzled by his wealth and charisma before he inevitably moved on. He had a motto that defined his relationships: city girls can never be trusted. When it's time to marry, I'll find a quiet, respectful village girl who will worship the ground I walk on. On this particular evening, Timini reclined on his leather couch, a glass of whiskey in hand. His best friend, Kunle, laughed as he scrolled through Timini's latest flings on social media. "Timini, the women's man. What happened? No girl by your side tonight?" Kunle teased. Timini smirked. "These city girls are all the same, too smart for their own good. When I'm ready for a wife, I'll find someone simple, humble, a village girl who knows how to respect a man." Kunle raised an eyebrow. "Village girl? My guy, you'd be surprised. There's no such thing as simple anymore. Be careful what you wish for." Timini laughed off Kunle's warning, but deep down, a plan was already forming in his mind. The time had come to find the perfect woman, and he knew exactly where to look. The sleek black SUV glided along the dusty winding roads leading to Emor, a village perched among lush green hills. The setting sun cast a golden hue over the serene countryside, a sharp contrast to the bustling chaos of Lagos. Inside the luxury vehicle, Timini Bakare leaned back, his polished designer sunglasses reflecting the simplicity of the landscape. It had been years since he last set foot here, and he wasn't coming back quietly. The moment his SUV rolled into the village square, it was as though time itself paused. The villagers erupted in excitement, their whispers spreading like wildfire. Women peeked from behind bamboo huts, their eyes sparkling with admiration as they took in his sharp tailored suit. Children, their faces filled with wonder, ran barefoot alongside the vehicle, shouting his name like a chant. "Timini has returned," one woman exclaimed, clutching her shawl. "The boy who left with nothing and came back a billionaire." As the SUV came to a halt, Timini stepped out, adjusting his suit jacket with a practiced flourish. His confident stride and dazzling smile left an undeniable impression. The village watched in awe as he surveyed his surroundings like a king returning to his realm. From the crowd, an older woman broke through, her face lighting up with joy. It was Mama Bakare, her arms outstretched as tears brimmed in her eyes. "My son," she called, her voice trembling. "Look at you. You've done so well for yourself." She pulled him into a tight embrace. Timini smirked, brushing imaginary dust off his sleeve. "Mama, the city has been good to me, but I haven't forgotten where I came from." Mama Bakare's smile softened, her gaze searching his face. "You may have left the village, Timini, but don't forget your roots. Humility goes further than wealth." Timini chuckled lightly, waving her words away. "Mama, don't worry. I know why I'm here. It's time I find a wife, one who respects me, knows her place, and isn't blinded by city life. A humble, simple village girl is what I need." Mama's smile faltered, concern flickering in her eyes. "Marriage, my son, is about more than respect. It's about love, patience, and a partnership. Don't let pride guide your choices." Timini's confidence didn't waver. "I know exactly what I'm doing, Mama. Trust me." By morning, word of Timini's mission spread through the village like wildfire. They whispered, "The Lagos billionaire is looking for a wife." Women dusted off their finest wrappers and adorned themselves with colorful beads. The marketplace buzzed with energy as hopeful young women lined the streets, their eyes gleaming with ambition. But Timini was unimpressed. The giggles, the stolen glances, they felt shallow. That was until he saw her. At the edge of the bustling market, Morenike stood beneath the shade of a tree, arranging baskets of woven mats. There was something about her, the fluidity of her movements, the quiet strength in her posture, that captured his attention. She wasn't like the others, who eagerly sought his gaze. No, Morenike moved with purpose, her focus entirely on her work. "Who is that?" Timini asked a nearby villager, his voice tinged with curiosity. "That's Morenike," the man replied. "She's different, independent, hardworking, and as sharp as they come." Timini's eyes gleamed. "Perfect." Timini leaned casually against his SUV, observing her from a distance. Her beauty was undeniable, but it was her air of confidence that intrigued him. He wasn't used to women who seemed so unaffected by wealth and power. Finally, he approached, flashing the smile that had melted hearts across Lagos. "Good afternoon," he said smoothly. Morenike glanced up briefly, her expression polite but indifferent. "Good afternoon," she replied before turning back to her baskets. Timini blinked, momentarily thrown by her lack of interest. "I'm Timini Bakare," he said, leaning slightly closer. "Perhaps you've heard of me." This time, Morenike's lips curved into the faintest hint of a smile. "I've heard the stories." Timini straightened, his pride swelling. "Then you know I'm someone worth talking to." Morenike met his gaze, her eyes sharp. "And what exactly do you want, Mr. Bakare?" Her directness caught him off guard. "To get to know you," he said, recovering quickly. "I can see you're different, smart, elegant. I'd like to spend time with you." Morenike arched an eyebrow. "Spend time doing what?" Timini chuckled, adjusting his watch. "You'll see. Maybe I can take you to the city, show you things you've never seen before." Her smile widened, but it was laced with amusement. "I appreciate the offer, but I'm happy here. Besides, I don't need a man to show me the world." Timini stared at her, stunned by her boldness. Most women would have jumped at the chance, but Morenike remained grounded. For the first time in years, he felt the sting of rejection, and it only made him want her more. Over the following days, Timini became a fixture in the village, using every trick in the book to win her over. He arrived in flashy cars, delivered extravagant gifts, and even helped her family with expenses. Yet, Morenike remained gracious but distant, never giving him the satisfaction of yielding to his advances. To her friend Ada, Morenike confided, "Let him think I'm the simple village girl he's looking for. He has no idea what he's up against." Ada's eyes widened. "Are you sure about this, Morenike? Men like him don't take rejection lightly." Morenike's eyes glinted with determination. "He won't hurt me. If anything, I'll be the one teaching him a lesson." Timini, meanwhile, believed he was winning her over. What he didn't realize was that Morenike wasn't playing his game. She was creating her own. Timini was a man used to getting what he wanted, and Morenike had become his obsession. Every morning, he found new ways to impress her, arriving in flashy cars, delivering more gifts, and even helping her family with expenses. Yet, Morenike remained elusive. She smiled politely, thanked him, but never gave him the satisfaction of fawning over his wealth. Instead, she asked him questions that left him unsettled. "So, Mr. Bakare," she said one afternoon, sitting beneath the shade of a mango tree, What do you want in life, beyond money and admiration? Timini laughed. What more is there? Money buys everything. Respect, comfort, and love. Morenike shook her head. Love can't be bought. It has to be earned. Her words lingered in Timini's mind long after their conversation ended. For the first time, he began to doubt himself. Was there more to life than his possessions and conquests? Determined to seal the deal, Timini turned to his mother for advice. Mama, I found her, the perfect wife. Morenike is everything I've been looking for. Mama Bakari frowned. Are you sure? Have you truly gotten to know her heart? A good wife isn't just humble, my son. She must also be strong and wise. Don't let your pride blind you. Timini brushed off her concerns. Mama, she's the one. I feel it. That evening, he found Morenike by the riverbank, her silhouette glowing in the fading light. Morenike, he said, taking her hand, I want you to be my wife. Move to Lagos with me, and I'll give you the world. Morenike's heart pounded. She had anticipated this moment, yet hearing the words stirred unexpected emotions. I need time to think, she replied softly. Timini nodded, confident her hesitation was just an act. But as Morenike walked home, she felt the weight of her decision pressing down on her. This is it, she told Ada later that night. If I say yes, everything changes. But I need to be sure I can handle him. Ada squeezed her hand. Whatever you decide, be careful. Men like Timini don't take rejection lightly. Little did Ada know, rejection was the last thing on Morenike's mind. She wasn't planning to walk away. She was planning to win, and on her own terms. The village was abuzz with excitement when Morenike finally accepted Timini's proposal. Drums echoed through the hills as neighbors gathered to celebrate the engagement of the village beauty and the Lagos billionaire. Timini beamed with pride, parading Morenike like a trophy. To him, he had found the perfect woman, humble, respectful, and untouched by the greed and ambitions of city girls. What he didn't realize was that he had walked straight into her carefully laid trap. Morenike played her role flawlessly. She smiled demurely, accepted compliments, and deferred to Timini's every suggestion. But behind her soft eyes was a mind already plotting the next moves. At the engagement party, Timini's friend Kunle pulled him aside. Timini, she's beautiful no doubt, but are you sure she's as simple as she seems? Something about her doesn't sit right with me. Timini laughed, brushing Kunle's words away. You're worrying over nothing. Morenike is perfect, you'll see. But even as he celebrated, Morenike observed everything. His friends, his insecurities, and most importantly, his trust. She had already started studying his business moves, listening intently whenever he talked about investments or contracts. That night, Morenike sat in her small room, staring at the engagement ring that sparkled in the moonlight. Are you sure you can handle him? Ada whispered, leaning against the doorframe. Morenike's lips curled into a smile. Oh, I can handle him. He thinks I'm a village girl with no ambition. Let him believe it. By the time I'm done, he'll never see it coming. Meanwhile, Timini was already planning their wedding, an elaborate Lagos affair with all the glitz and glamour befitting a billionaire. He felt powerful, in control, and ready to shape Morenike into the wife he had always imagined. But Morenike was one step ahead. As the days passed, she began weaving herself deeper into his life, slowly gaining access to his accounts, understanding his partnerships, and positioning herself as his trusted confidant. By the time Timini realized he had given her too much control, it would already be too late. Timini spared no expense for the wedding. It was the talk of Lagos, a celebration of wealth and status. Celebrities, business moguls, and politicians filled the grand hall, adorned with gold accents and crystal chandeliers. Cameras flashed as Timini and Morenike exchanged vows under a cascade of white roses. Morenike played her part perfectly. She appeared shy yet radiant, the picture of a humble village bride stepping into the glamorous world of her billionaire husband. Guests whispered praises about her beauty and poise, but a few, including Kunle, remained unconvinced. During the reception, Kunle pulled Timini aside. "Timini, I need to talk to you," Kunle said urgently. "Not now, Kunle," Timini replied, brushing him off. "No, you need to listen," Kunle insisted. "I did some digging. Morenike isn't as simple as she seems. Her business in the village was bigger than you think. She's not just a girl who sews dresses. She's a planner, a strategist. I'm telling you, be careful." Timini laughed, sipping champagne. "You're overthinking things. She's my wife now. Everything is fine." But Kunle's words lingered in Timini's mind as the night wore on. Later, as he watched Morenike dance gracefully among the guests, he dismissed his doubts. She was his now, and he was in control, or so he thought. After the wedding, Timini brought Morenike to his Lagos mansion, expecting her to be overwhelmed by the luxury. At first, she played the part perfectly, clinging to his arm, looking to him for guidance, and marveling at the opulence. But little by little, Morenike's demeanor began to change. She started asking questions about his business, innocent at first, then more pointed. She wanted to know how his companies operated, who his partners were, and where he invested his money. Timini, blinded by trust and pride, saw no harm in sharing the details. "You're my wife now," he said one evening, handing her access to one of his smaller accounts. "I want you to feel secure." Morenike smiled sweetly. "Thank you, my love. I only want to understand how everything works. After all, we're building a future together." What Timini didn't know was that Morenike had already begun reaching out to his partners, introducing herself as his trusted advisor. She studied contracts, identified loopholes, and laid the groundwork for her next move. Mama Bakare visited them a few weeks later, her eyes sharp as she observed Morenike's growing confidence. "Timini," she said privately, "are you sure about this girl? I've been hearing things. People say she's not as innocent as she seems." "Mama, please," Timini scoffed. "You worry too much. Morenike is perfect. She respects me. She's nothing like those city girls." Mama Bakare sighed, but said no more. She had raised Timini to be strong, but she also knew pride could blind a man. Weeks turned into months, and Morenike's influence over Timini's life deepened. She no longer played the timid village girl. Instead, she exuded quiet confidence, her once soft-spoken tone now commanding attention during business meetings she attended by Timini's side. Timini didn't notice the shift. He was too busy basking in the admiration of others who praised him for finding such a perfect wife. "Morenike is different," he often boasted to Kunle. "She's smart, respectful, and humble. I told you, a village girl is the way to go." Kunle, however, remained wary. One afternoon, Kunle visited Timini's mansion and found Morenike in the study, going through financial statements. "Mrs. Bakare," Kunle greeted cautiously. Morenike looked up, her smile polite but firm. "Kunle, is there something you need?" Kunle frowned. "I was looking for Timini. He's out, but I can assist if it's important." Kunle's eyes narrowed. "You're very involved in his business these days." Morenike leaned back, her expression calm. "I'm his wife. What affects him affects me. Isn't that what a partnership is about?" Kunle left unsettled, but Morenike barely noticed. She was focused on her plans that were starting to bear fruit. Morenike's late-night study sessions and sudden knowledge about Timini's investments weren't random. She had memorized every contract, every deal, and every loophole. Her friend Ada had warned her to be careful. "Morenike, you're walking a fine line," Ada said during a phone call. "What if he finds out?" "He won't," Morenike replied. "Not until it's too late." Despite Ada's concerns, Morenike pressed forward, gaining access to Timini's bank accounts and legal documents. She kept detailed records of his assets, preparing for the moment when she would make her move. Timini, meanwhile, remained oblivious. He continued to trust Morenike, mistaking her curiosity and intelligence for devotion. He even allowed her to oversee small deals, not realizing she was using the experience to build her own network. One night, as they sat on the balcony overlooking the Lagos skyline, Morenike asked, "Do you ever worry about losing it all?" Timini laughed. "Impossible. I've worked too hard to get here. No one can take it away from me." Morenike smiled faintly. "You're lucky then." But as Timini fell asleep that night, Morenike remained awake, staring out at the city lights. She knew his luck was about to run out. It began subtly, too subtle for Timini to notice. Small transactions from his business accounts started disappearing, masked as routine expenses. Contracts were altered, shifting ownership rights of properties and investments. Timini, confident in his wife's devotion, never suspected a thing. Morenike played her role with precision. She continued to shower him with affection, ensuring he never had a reason to question her actions. One evening, as they dined on the rooftop terrace, Morenike brought up his business ventures. "You know," she began, slicing into her steak, "I was thinking about that new real estate deal you mentioned. The one near Victoria Island. It's risky, isn't it?" Timini waved her off. "Not at all. I've got it covered." "But what if something unexpected happens?" she pressed. "What if someone takes advantage of you?" Timini chuckled, taking a sip of wine. "No one can take advantage of me, Morenike. I'm always in control." Morenike smiled sweetly, though her mind was already racing. "Not for long, Timini, not for long." It happened 2 weeks later. One of Timini's largest contracts fell through, costing him millions. Confused and angry, he called his lawyer, only to be told that the deal had been reassigned. "To whom?" Timini demanded. "To your wife, Morenike Bakare," the lawyer replied. Timini froze. "That's impossible." "I'm afraid it's not. She signed the transfer papers with your authorization. It's legal, Timini." Shocked, Timini confronted Morenike. "What have you done?" he roared, slamming the papers on the table. Morenike didn't flinch. "I did what I had to do. This isn't just your life, Timini. It's ours, and I'm making sure we're protected." "Protected?" Timini shouted. "You stole from me." Morenike's voice remained calm. "No, I secured our future. You handed me the keys, Timini. Did you think I'd sit back and let you control everything?" For the first time, Timini felt fear, not for his wealth, but for the power he had given away so carelessly. He stormed out of the house, driving aimlessly through the streets of Lagos, replaying every moment he had ignored the warnings. Meanwhile, Morenike moved with the precision of a chess master, solidifying her grip on the remaining pieces of Timini's crumbling empire. Every move was deliberate, every action carefully calculated. She wasn't just dismantling his world, she was rewriting her own future. Timini, oblivious to the storm brewing around him, was about to face the ultimate betrayal. But here's the question, my dear viewers. What do you think happens next? Will Morenike deliver the final blow and bring Timini to his knees? Or will he uncover her master plan in time to fight back? To uncover the shocking twists and turns, head over to part 2 on our channel. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated on the next chapter of this gripping saga. Turn on your notification bell. You won't want to miss what happens next.